Are they adhering to corporate social responsibility best practices, technology integrations, industry engagement, employee satisfaction, a whole lot of factors that add up to a score that we can give the leading companies in this industry.
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hausman, and joining me today, a brand new rock star, but he is all over the media. He is the publisher and editor-in-chief at PPAI Media, Josh Ellis. Thanks so much for joining me, man.
Kirby, it's an honor. About time. Thanks for having me.
I love it. I love it. Well, we were talking that you are certainly in the role now and have been in it for over a year and are killing it. So I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. So let's kind of a getting to know Josh Ellis episode here. So what project are you working on right now that has you totally fired up, and why?
Well, it's what we're going to be rolling out at NALC in June is what we call the PPAI 100 list.
Cool.
Some other media organizations in the industry have ranked suppliers and distributors just based on revenue in the past. And PPAI, we're a nonprofit trade association, and ultimately our mission is to drive this industry forward. And we're thinking of these rankings, our rankings of suppliers and distributors, in a lot more holistic way. So business success is part of our rankings, a large part of our rankings.
Sure.
Revenue as a total number from the previous year, and then also revenue growth over time, to identify which are the leading companies in the industry. Not only that, but some other factors that go into what makes a great company in promotional products. Are they adhering to corporate social responsibility best practices, technology integrations, industry engagement, employee satisfaction, a whole lot of factors that add up to a score that we can give the leading companies in this industry.
That is really interesting. I can see why you'd be fired up about that. That's a big project. You guys have done some amazing lists, and Bill Petrie and I did a list recently, and it made me appreciate the level of work that you guys put into doing something like that. So that's really cool. I'm excited to check that out. Okay, so that'll be coming out, you said, at NALC, right?
Early June, yeah. June 4th through 6th is NALC, our National North American Leadership Conference. And it's really the kind of audience that a lot of these companies are most likely sending attendees from. So I'm going to share it with them first, and then we'll roll it out to the industry as a whole.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. So what's some things that you've struggled with, whether it's now or in the past, and how do you work on overcoming them?
I love the question because we actually just went through an exercise that kind of identified this for me not too long ago, and it's just holding myself to a higher standard than other people would hold me to, or that you would hold anyone else to, right? So we went through a 360 leadership evaluation at PPAI. If you've ever done one of those, and you have, you kind of score yourself on a range of different factors, and then your bosses or your peers or your direct reports will answer the same survey questions about you. And I think most people probably tend to be a little bit harder on themselves than others. In some categories, they probably overstate their ability.
Right.
But I consistently was way lower in how I was viewing myself than anybody else was, and it was really eye-opening for me to just think about how important it is to be kind to yourself and believe in yourself. Ultimately, I mean, I have confidence, but I guess I just expect more of myself, and I think that's something that a lot of people deal with.
Yeah, I love that, Josh. I think we've been taught to do it to a degree, right? Like as a leader, you're supposed to think work harder than everybody else, but the idea of being kind to yourself, I think, is something that's probably not talked about enough. And so I think that's great advice, man. So what are, obviously you're in the media, but what are some mistakes that you see organizations make when telling their story? And based on that, do you have any tips on how to fix that?
Yeah, I think a lot of times they don't make marketing or branding their story enough of a priority. We
Mm,
get busy and we think that that social media account for my business is really not worth the time and energy that goes into it, or I don't know what to say, or um, you know, as somebody who's in media, a lot of what we work on is press releases. If you
right.
have something big going on that we don't hear about, we're not going to cover it.
Right.
I wish that I had eyes and ears everywhere, but um, you know, trees falling in the woods that no one is there to hear about, they don't make a sound. So
Right.
you just have to have a concerted effort to tell that story through the media if it makes sense for your business, or social media just as well. Talking to your clients um, online, finding the communities that they they're talking to one another in, and being a part of that, and just taking an active approach to it. Most companies just, I don't know about most companies, but too many companies just don't make the effort to get the word out there about what they're doing. And then the other piece of it is every company has a culture. Maybe it's an individual, the founder or the CEO level type person who's driving what that organization is about, and those people are busy, and so it stands to reason that they maybe are a little bit unwilling to be in front of the camera. I know that's not the case for you, Kirby. Uh, on, I don't know if this is podcast number one or number two, but you do it. You do it well. You're not afraid to put yourself out there, and the culture of Hasseman marketing lives through you in the public persona that you share.
Mm. Well, by the way, I think that's totally spot on, Josh, about the press releases. It is mind blowing to me how few people actually send those, and not just in our organizations. Clients I talk to all the time, I'm like, guys, you got a big event, send it. I mean, whether people run it or not, it's out of your control, but you could at least put in the effort to send it out. And I think that's great advice.
You know, a distributor buys another distributorship, and ultimately in the process doubles the size of their business, and like don't think to tell anybody.
Yeah.
We would love to hear about it.
Yeah, that is great. I love it. Okay, final question for you, bud. What is another organization or creator that's doing good work that you're impressed with, and why?
Yeah, speaking of lists, we put out the online 18 every
Mm,
year.
yeah.
Back in We released it in February and March this year, and through that process, I got to see so many people who were impressive in sharing their individual personality. And you made the list. Bill Petrie, your friend, made the list. And
Yep.
you guys are so deserving. I think number one on our list, and it came from industry peers nominating people, and ultimately our staff here casting votes. But far and away, it was Jeremy Picker
Mm,
from Amber, who he makes such a concerted effort to be an authority, a thought leader on creative branding and creatively branded apparel. And it's his lane, and he owns it. And I just know that obviously the industry is taking note, but his clients have to be so blown away and wouldn't dare to go to another distributor for that kind of work, because he is the authority. I mean, it's inarguable if you're following him on social media.
yeah, and if you're not, you should be. One of the things I love about Jeremy is he's willing to take a position too. Like one of the things that people who are authorities in any position, they tell you here's the right way and here's the wrong way, and Jeremy definitely does that. So I think that's a great one, man. So thank you for taking the time. And speaking of, this is totally going off script on you, Josh, but speaking of taking a position, I just read your piece on Patagonia coming back into the industry. I thought it was really well done. So thanks for doing that. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate it. It's a big news story for the industry, so
Yeah,
glad that we can be on top of it.
cool. All right. Well, that's great, Josh. This has been fun. We'll have to do it again sometime. And that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. So we'll see you next time.